Good morning, everybody. Afternoon, whatever time it is that you're watching this replay. Um, these are the 10 career-ending mistakes I have seen realtors make over and over again. And if you understand what they are, you can avoid them. So I set this up like David Letterman. We'll go in reverse order. I've always wanted to know um, what the uh, why every agent isn't successful in the selling houses. I mean, we all have the same opportunities, we all have the same training. Why are the results so different? Um, who succeeds and who doesn't? And it's not tied to the economy. So you see people hugely successful and people failing. It's the same market, the same opportunities. Why is there a discrepancy? So I've shown you this. I've been in this business since 76. Um, I sold for 24 years. I managed for 12 years. And I'm licensed in Maryland. I used to be licensed in DC, Virginia, and Minnesota. I'm certified by the Maryland Real Estate Commission to teach broker relations and supervision. I'm a GRI, CRS, CRP, and CRB. Um, and I'm a certified consultant for Proctor Gallagher Institute, and I'm a founding member of the Napoleon Hill Institute. Um, and knowledge of success goes back over 120 years. You know, Andrew Carnegie came to this country with a few dollars in his pocket and became the first billionaire. He was interviewed by Napoleon Hill, who studied how people got rich. And Andrew Carnegie gave him access to Henry Ford, Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, and he shadowed all of them and learned why people were successful. And then he studied, over 2,000 people that failed, and he came up with 13 principles of success. He mentored Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale has a company that's called Nightingale Conan, and they do all the motivational tapes and books and everything. And Bob Proctor studied with Earl Nightingale. Bob Proctor was my mentor. And you may know Bob from the movie The Secret. He was extensively interviewed. He was considered the leading expert in the potential of the human mind. And I studied with him for 4.5 years, flying up to Canada 3 times a year for a week each time. So, mistake number 10, wasting time. If you're serious about being successful, stop doing busy work. There is so much busy work in real estate that doesn't produce money. Stop doing it. You should have a to-do list every morning or every night before you go to bed for the next day of 6 items, no more. If you have more, take the top 6 items because if you have more than six, you won't do any of them or you'll do one. Six seems to be the magic number. Stop performing non-income producing activities. You know, you can delegate that kind of stuff. Stop talking to people that won't make you money. There's so many people that will suck, I call them vampires. They suck the energy out of you by talking to you about real estate, but they never are intending to buy or sell or even refer business to you. Don't waste your time with them. Stop looking at houses online. I say this because you don't get a true picture. You get a false sense of reality. They only show you the good features in the pictures. They only take the pictures from the best angles. You won't see the 15 speed bumps to get into the neighborhood to the house. You won't see the Chevy on blocks next door. You won't see the house that's 30 years past due for paint across the street. You won't see, the water tower out the back window. You need to physically go preview these homes. Stop doing household chores during business hours. If you worked for an office and you had to go to work every day, you would not be doing your laundry in the middle of the day. Stop doing non-goal achieving activities that keep you from success. If you have a clear and concise goal that you are excited about, then that's all you focus on. So, as a business owner, would you hire you? Would you hire the you that you are today to make you money? For the actual work that you are doing, how much would you pay you, the employee? 200,000 per year, per month? What are you worth? We all want money, but what are we worth? You are an independent contractor. And I always loved it when I managed, you know, some agents would say to me, "Well, you can't tell me what to do. I'm an independent contractor." And I would say, "Then act like one." It's a it's actually just a tax term. It means that you're in business for yourself. You are not an employee. Stop acting as one. Your broker is there to ensure that you operate within the law and within the code of ethics. It means that you must generate the income. It means that you are responsible for profit. See, the difference between an employee and a business owner is a business owner isn't focused on income, they're focused on profit. They're also focused on income for the people that work for them. You're responsible for your results, and results don't lie. It's you and nobody else. Every day, ask yourself, what is my goal? And am I on track to achieve it? What are the 6 money making activities I must do today? If you're not focused on money making activities, you're not a business owner. What am I grateful for? You want to write out every day your gratitudes. And it's 5 things that you have achieved and 5 future achievements, but you write them out as if they've already achieved them. This sets the mind up that it will happen. Who are the 5 people I can connect with today to find my next commission? Are you asking yourself this every day? In which area of my business am I the weakest? And how can I improve that? The chain is only as strong as its weakest link. How do you keep improving your weakest link to become stronger? Mistake number 9, depending on others. Stop relying on your broker for leads. They'll take a cut of your commission. Lead gen services, because they sell the leads to everyone else. If you go into Zillow and click on call broker, it's not your phone that rings. It's the one that paid the biggest amount of money for the service. Buying leads, go to the highest bidder. And the other thing is with these lead gens, it's not, these people are not like Zillow. These leads aren't ready to buy. People go online a year or two before they're going to buy just to see what's out there. And so you'll be doing a lot of busy work with them in the hopes that a year or two down the line, they buy a house from you. If you had a more aggressive prospecting plan in place, you wouldn't rely on them. Others, as they have, stop relying on others as they have different motivations than you. I've had over the years when I was selling so many people that wanted to team up with me, but I could see from their work ethic, they weren't as motivated as me. They were just hoping to ride my coattail. Stop relying on technology as it distances you from your avatar. It was interesting. I saw a video yesterday, in fact, where this guy was speaking to Congress, and he said, every year, every generation of children outperform their parents until the current generation. The current generation was exposed to technology in school, and their scores have gone down because of relying on technology. I feel technology gives you a safe haven not to be in front of your clients. And this is a people business. Stop relying on just one form of prospecting. It may work this week, it may not work next week. You need to have multiple sources. You and only you can create your own economy. It doesn't matter what's happening out in the real world. People go broke in great economies and people become rich in bad economies. It's all up to you. Man is buffered by circumstances so long as he believes himself a creature of outside conditions. But when he realizes he is a creative power and that he may command the hidden soils and seeds of his being out of which circumstances grow, he can then become the rightful master of himself. Take control of your thoughts, take control of your intellectual faculties, strengthen them, and you'll become unstoppable. Follow your intuition. Intuition is always for expansion. Your ego and your paradigms are what's are holding you back. So if it's a negative thought you have, it's not your intuition talking. This is why Napoleon Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Number 8, you stop learning. Managers and brokers all say the same thing. New agents are a sponge for knowledge. They can't get enough of it. How do I do this? How do I do that? What do I say here? And then they sell one house and they know it all. I used to teach class every Thursday in my office on any topic. And I had this one agent had sold one house. And in every class, he stood up and he goes, well, when I had this transaction, and he's being authoritative, but it was always that same transaction he talked about. Um, keep being a sponge for knowledge. The biggest mistake comes to learning is not investing in yourself. Don't look for cheap knowledge. Look for quality knowledge. Not spending on quality training, not studying the books that will develop their talent. And I highlighted studying because For example, Think and Grow Rich is not a novel. I've asked people, have you read it? And they go, oh, yeah, great book. I go, how often? Well, once. No, Think and Grow Rich is a to-do book. It tells you the exercises you need to do to grow and become better at what you do. Not listening to motivational recordings. Why? Because left alone with your own mind, you start having negative thoughts. But if you listen to motivational recordings, it keeps you pumped up. And here's a trick to that: speed it up, because some people talk slow and your mind drifts. But if you speed it up to 1.25, 1.5, you can still understand everything they're saying, but you really are focused on what they're saying. People fail because they're not an expert at objection handling. When somebody has an objection, it says, yes, I want this, but, and you need to overcome that but. Not learning how to be an expert negotiator. That is the one thing that sets us apart from every real estate agent out there. Everyone can put a sign in the yard. Everyone can put it in the MLS. Everyone can, post about it on Facebook. But are they a good negotiator? That's where you stand apart. Not knowing the contract inside and out. I had an agent that printed out the contract and all the addendums every time she went to the beach on vacation, and she would read it. And once in a while, she would call me and she goes, what do they mean by this paragraph here? She knew that contract so well. And the reason you need to know it is because you are advising your clients to sign this contract, binding them to terms. Not giving attention to detail. A lot of times deals are lost over a small detail. Stay on top of things. Have a checklist. Not knowing the other realtors in the community. When you network with other realtors, it helps you get your contracts through. They know you, they'll trust you over somebody they don't know. Get involved at the association. Not understanding how to price a home. That comes from lack of previewing. Not fully understanding your client's needs and concerns. You either assume what their needs and concerns are instead of really probing and understanding them, or you're too busy talking about yourself and it's not about you. Not implementing what you've learned because you allow your habitual behavior to control your actions. So many agents will go to a Tom Ferry, a Mike Ferry, Brian Buffini seminar, and they come back and they're just pumped up. And this is great. I'm going to implement everything I learned. And they open their desk drawer, they throw it in there, and they go right back to doing what they've always done. And a year later, they're back at the seminar, and everything that's being said is the same as before. And they're going, oh, yeah, I was going to do that. Oh, I didn't do that. Eric Hoffer says, in times of change, the learners will inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. In other words, if you don't keep learning, the world is going to move on without you. Right now, we should all be learning AI. I mean, there's no question. 7, buying into negativity. Stop believing the economy controls your ability to earn money. Stop believing that houses are harder to sell with higher interest rates. Stop focusing that fewer houses sell when prices fall. For prices to fall, a house has to sell for less than the previous house in the neighborhood. That means they're selling. Price is irrelevant. You need more knowledge to earn more money. There's a lot of smart people out there that can't sell a lot of houses. And there's a lot of dumb people that are hugely successful. You will earn more money by working harder. I think we all know people that are broke, that have worked really hard their whole life. It's important to hear or read the news to stay informed. Absolutely not. They call it programming for a reason. They want you to believe what they say is reality. Reality is what you make it. Never trust your gut unless you're hugely successful. Your intuition is your internet connection to the universe. That's what you need to be trusting. Always get input from others. Absolutely not. If they haven't walked in your shoes and achieved what you want to achieve, nothing they say has any value. Research at the University of Georgia found the impact of negative ads increases over time, while the positive ads used to counteract negativity lacks the power of negative ads. That's why politicians campaign negatively. Negativity reaches the subconscious mind faster, deeper, and stays there longer. You must counteract it immediately. When you have a negative thought, you have to use the law of polarity and just say the opposite. I can't, I can. If you say I can't, you attract all the thoughts to support that statement. If you say I can, you'll attract those thoughts. Experts estimate that the mind thinks between 60 and 80,000 thoughts per day. That's an average of 2,500 to 3,300 thoughts per hour. According to research conducted by the National Science Foundation, around 80% of our thoughts are negative. A whopping 98% of all thoughts that we think daily belong to yesterday, meaning that we've already thought 98% of the thoughts that we think today. When you wake up in the morning, your political views haven't changed, your opinions haven't changed, the way you're doing your business hasn't changed. So if nothing changes, how do you expect different results? Today, you are living in the past. Without developing new thoughts, new beliefs, and new habits, nothing will change. Number 6, not working on your business. Most agents work in their business. That means they're performing tasks of an employee, not an owner. They're allowing clients to control one's time. I one time was walking through the office and an agent was on the phone with their client. And she said to him, if you want to go look at this house on Saturday, I'm wide open. Call me anytime. Well, she should have said, listen, regardless of what her schedule was, she should have said, listen, I can show you this house at 10 o'clock on Saturday. If that doesn't work for you, we could do it at 1 o'clock. Which one is best? If they can control your time, they don't see value in you. When you work in your business, income is not growth oriented. You're just working to get a commission. You don't set a schedule to perform important activities. You just fly by the things that come to you. No systems in place to guarantee good service. No checklists that you have everything you need for a listing appointment. No checklist that once you have a sale that things are done and in a timely manner. Devoting all one's time on a single deal. Performing all tasks without delegating some or all. Working for commissions and not profit. That's how you work in your business. If you want to work on your business, you operate as a business owner. You're in complete control of your time. Income is growth oriented year after year. Daily set schedules to perform important activities. Remember the 6 to-do things. Checklists in place to guarantee quality service. Lead gen in place to secure ongoing business. Delegating some or all tasks. The business is profit and growth driven. Mistake number 5, not being a true professional. You're not a professional if you don't dress professionally. I get a lot of pushback on this. I believe, my opinion, that you should emulate your client in their dress code to make them feel comfortable, but nothing should be less than khakis and a polo for men and a nice pair of slacks and a blouse for women. Nothing should be below that. To me, call me old fashioned, but jeans to me shows a lack of respect. I can't tell the difference between jeans that you mowed the lawn in and jeans that you paid $500 for. There was an agent, not one of mine, but another manager told me this, that she was listing her best friend's house, who her husband was being transferred out of the area. And her plan was to go list the house and then go to the gym and work out. So she showed up at the listing appointment in sweats. And she went through the whole listing presentation and she didn't do a professional presentation. She just had all the papers and the contract ready for them to sign and, a CMA. And after all the contracts were signed, the husband walked her out to the car. And he said to her at the car, he said, I listed with you because you're my wife's best friend. But today you totally disrespected my house. You show up unprofessional. Your presentation was unprofessional. I expect moving forward that I have hired a professional realtor. And here's the thing, listen to what people aren't saying. Be grateful if they do say it, but really pay attention to what they're not saying. Because most people would not have said that and they would have been irritated and you would not have gotten referrals from this person. Or they may have gone and listed with somebody else. Be a professional. They're paying you big dollars. You don't have a professional looking presentation. You did not do your homework. You cannot rise above the competition. Most people will disparage their competition to make themselves look good. Never throw your competition under the bus. Always rise above them. Don't treat everyone with the same high quality service. When you get a referral from somebody, it's because they bragged about you. Don't cut corners because they're going to be expecting what you did for the other person that you do it for them. Don't deliver on promises. That's not professional. You deliver on every promise you make. You don't communicate everything you do with your clients. I had a seller once tell me that he got more mail from me because I used to send a weekly update of new homes on the market, homes that sold, um, uh, change in market conditions, feedback from showings. I sent them constantly. Every time I advertised the property, I cut out the ad and sent it to them. And he told me he got more mail from me than his wife's divorce attorney, and she was taking him to the cleaners. You're just in it for the money. That's very unprofessional. If you don't see yourself as a winner, you can't perform as a winner. Mistake number 4, you're not an expert in your field. You're not an expert if you are not studying the market statistics and know how to explain them. If somebody comes to you and says, "How's the market?" and you say, "Oh, God, I am so busy. I'm showing houses, I'm listing houses, they sell in 5 minutes. Oh, I'm busy, busy, busy." That doesn't tell them anything about the market. But what if you said, "You know what? Homes are selling at a rate of 15 a day in our zip code. And the highest sale was 1,200,000. The lowest sale was 595. The average sales price was 860. And it's each house sells within average of 10 days. What what does that tell them? That you're an expert, that you know what's happening. You're not an expert if you can only say, "I'm so busy." You are not constantly previewing physically in person the properties currently for sale on the market. I don't know what it's like in your area, but if there's broker opens, go to them, regardless if you have buyers for that house. You'll connect with agents, and it's an easy way to preview. You will not know how to properly price a home if you're not previewing. You will not understand sale value versus saleability. There's a big difference in that. You will not speak from experience. I had a client, and you'll dispel the lies. This client said to me, when I told him what I thought his house was worth, he said, "Well, the house across the street," I think I told him 1.6 million. He says, "Well, the house across the street was smaller than mine and went for 2.2 million." And I pulled it up and I said, "Excuse me, it went for 980. I don't know who told you it was 2.2. Mistake number 3, not prospecting daily. The number one job in any profession is prospecting. Whether you're a realtor, got tripped over that one, an insurance salesperson, a car salesperson, you must prospect for clients. I remember I bought a car one time, and I said to the salesman, I said, "So how do you get your business?" He goes, "Well, when people come to the dealership, I go out and talk to them." And I said, "Who's the number one salesperson here?" And he pointed to a gentleman. And I said, "What does he do different?" He says, He's on the phone all day long calling past clients, telling them about the new cars that came on the lot and what a deal he can offer them if they're interested in training. Then he goes in the service bay every morning when people come in with their cars for service and oil changes, and he hands them a new brochure of the current models with his business card. And I said to my guy, I said, why don't you do that? And he goes, eh, I'm fine. You got to be prospecting. If you own a store or a painting business or auto repair business, you need to find clients. If you're a doctor, a dentist, or a shrink, you need to find patients. A school needs to attract students. The private schools, they have to find students. The mistakes you make prospecting. One is you don't have a daily, non negotiable 3 hour time blocked out exclusively for prospecting. A client calls and says, hey, I want to go look at this house at 10 o'clock, and your prospecting time is 9 to noon every day. You say, I'm sorry, I'm booked. I could show it to you at 1 o'clock. If they say, well, I can't, I'm going out of town this afternoon, I really want to see it before I leave, say, tell you what, let me move my appointment to the afternoon and I can make myself available. You don't cancel prospecting. You just move it to another time to ensure that you do it that day. No ifs, ands, or buts. This should be the most important thing that you do every day. You allow distractions during your prospecting. When I managed, I had phone booths in my office that I had built in so that agents could go in there undisturbed and make their calls. Because a lot of times sitting at the desk, you hear other people talking about the football game or talk about, you know, gossiping about something or another. You want to be totally focused on prospecting. So I had phone booths in the office. And the nice thing was they were too small for agents to make them their private office because, they needed fresh air. You're not prepared for prospecting. You don't sit down at the start of your prospecting time and go, wonder what homes are expired and start searching the computer. You are on the phone prospecting for the entire window that you created for prospecting. You're not doing research. You're not um, you're not trying to figure out who to call. I had one agent that took the cross directory. I don't know if they still do that. Um, and he would just call up one side of the street and down the other. And he would always ask the question, when do you plan on moving? And he had money set aside in case he got fined for the do not call list. He didn't scrub his phone. If somebody yelled at him for being on the do not call list, he goes, I am so sorry. I won't do that again. I'll make sure that you're off my list. And I don't know that he ever um, got a fine, but I did get a few complaints. He was in the top 10 of listers in all of Long and Foster. So I was happy to take the calls that complained about him calling. But he was on the phone nonstop. He called for sale by owners, expireds, and just cold called. I had a woman that did the same thing. And I said, what's your secret? And she said, I collect no's. So when the phone is ringing, I go, please say no, please say no, please say no. And they would answer, and she goes, hi, I'm Jane Smith with ABC Realty. When do you plan on moving? And they say, no. And she's like, yes, she's excited because she knew it took her 120 no's to get a yes. So the more no's she collected, the closer she got to a yes. And she turned a negative into a positive. You don't have an automatic prospecting system. So you should have things that go out automatically. Um, there's an agent in California named Walter Sanford. In the late 80s, he was the number one agent in Long Beach, California. He did $50 million of business with an average sale price of 150,000. And he did some of the wildest things. He then went into the lecture circuit, and now he's retired. But he he had an employee at midnight pull up the expireds, and then the employee would run around to all the expireds and put a red tube. You can't do this anymore today. Put a red tube on their doorstep with a sparkly shoestring hanging out of it. And when you opened up the tube, it said, bang, your listing is dead. Call me if you want it sold. What was some of the other crazy things he did? Um, oh, he took out a full page ad every year to announce how much business, how many homes he sold. And he said, I want to thank my competition because my competition points out, you know, where I'm weak, where I need to get better when my friends and family tell me I'm doing good enough. Just all kinds of crazy things. But he had it in place. He had people doing this for him. There's so much automation. That's where you use automation, is in a system that generates your searches business for you while you're doing something else. You don't follow up with prospects. Number one complaint people have about realtors is that they don't deliver what they say they're going to do. They don't call back when they say they will. Just think if just that one thing you fix and call people back. Oh God, I was going to call him yesterday. I can't call him today. It's a day later. Next day it's yeah, I gotta delete this because it's been 2 days. I promised him I'd call him. Baloney. Call him. They have not mastered a mistake is they have not mastered effective prospecting scripts. Go to Mike Ferry, MikeFerry.com. He's got free scripts to give away. I always used his 5 questions. When do you plan on moving? How long have you lived here? Where did you move from? If you were to move, where would you go next? And when would that be? So when he says that, ask the question, when do you plan on moving? They immediately, almost everyone says, oh, we have no plans. Great. You know, how long have you lived here? Oh, we lived here 15 years. 15 years. Wow. Where did you move from? Oh, we moved from, cross town. Oh, okay. If you were to move, where would you go next? And they say, well, when my husband retires, we're going to go to Boston. Boston, beautiful area. When would that be? Well, he's due to retire next month. So they block you at the front door, and with the questions, they let you in the back door. Those are great scripts. Less is more. You don't want to over chat. Reasons for not prospecting. You don't know who to call. You fear bothering people. You don't know what to say. You get caught up in outside distractions. They'll assume they get no before even attempting. Oh, they're not going to want to talk to me. They believe tomorrow will be another day. Regardless of the economy, people are getting married, they buy houses. People get divorced, they sell houses. People have children, they need a bigger house. People get promoted, they want bigger houses. People get transferred, they need to sell a house. People die, the property needs to be sold. There is always going to be a sign in a yard. Prospecting will guarantee you some of those signs will be yours. Number two, you have no measurable goal. To achieve success, you have to have a goal. Most do not have a goal. Those that do don't have it written down. They don't review it every day. They don't write it out every morning. They don't have a vision board to inspire them. A vision board is all the pictures of what you want in your life. And every time you look at it, you get excited. They believe that a wish is a goal. Everything we do in life is goal oriented. You go to the store to buy food. You go to the doctor to be treated or stay well. You go on vacation. The goal is to have fun and relax for a while. You go on a date. The goal is to find or rekindle love. You go to training to become a better agent. Everything is a goal. No wind is favorable to the sailor who has no destination in mind. You go out on your boat in a sailboat and it's perfect wind, but you don't know where you're going to go. The wind will not guide you to some place that will be exciting. You're at the mercy of the wind. The biggest mistake with goal setting is setting a goal that's too small. If you aim for the moon and miss, you still end up amongst the stars. Have a big goal. A goal should be exciting. It should get you really pumped up, but it should also scare you a little. Why? Because if it scares you a little, it means you're growing. If it doesn't scare you, it means you're complacent and you're staying where you're at. So, what do these four companies have in common? All their founders dreamed big and believed in their dreams. These guys didn't say, oh, I want to sell a house this week. No, they all said, I'm going to build a real estate empire. Dream big and go for it. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Here's the secret. Ordinary people focus on what they think they're getting. Extraordinary people think about who they are becoming. These guys believed they were going to be the leaders of the industry. Number one, negative mindset. This is what controls success. The reason you earned the amount of money you did all last year is because you don't believe yourself capable of earning that amount or more monthly. Warren Buffett's in real estate. He makes a heck of a lot more money than all of us combined. It's possible, but you need to believe it. Think you can, think you can't. Either way, you'll be right. If you think, no, I can never earn in a month what I earned all last year, you're right. It won't happen. But what if you believed it could happen and you start working towards that? Common mindset mistakes. We have 6 intellectual faculties. They are mental muscles. It's a crime that schools never taught us about them. It's a crime that schools never showed us how to strengthen them. But you learn these mental faculties and you will become unstoppable. You have the will. Your will is your laser focus on getting to your goal. You know, when President Kennedy said, what would it take to put a man on the moon and bring him back alive? Werner von Braun, who was the head of the US space program at the time, said the will to do it. He didn't say, I need X billion dollars, I need X thousands of engineers, I need so much raw material and fuel. He just said the will to do it. If you have the will, you can do it. Werner von Braun also said that the laws of the universe are so precise that they could calculate within seconds the timing of landing on the moon. And to think those spaceships back then were didn't have the power that your cell phone has today. You're thinking outside in. And that means we have 5 sensory factors: sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. And it's a 5-lane highway of information coming to us. That's why it's so important not to have the TV on. That's why it's so, they have us believing that people's misery is a comedy show, that's what's funny. Um, so when you allow all that information to come into you unfiltered, then that starts controlling your thoughts. But you have the capability to choose which thoughts you let in and which ones you don't. Look at the last election. Half the country believed one way, the other half believed the other way. They shut out each other's opinions. They don't close their mind to negativity. They surround themselves with people that lack ambition. Who are the people you hang out with? You know, I had a team of agents where one of the team members was a raging alcoholic. And I said, why is he part of the team? And they go, oh, we feel sorry for him and he's funny. Yeah, that's credentials. They wake up with 95% of the same thoughts of the day before and expect different results. What if when you wake up in the morning, you lay there for a while and start imagining how you want your life to be and what you would need to do to get there? How would that change your world? They lack a burning desire to achieve success. They do not live from the wish fulfilled. So the best example of this is if you want to be a millionaire, act like a millionaire, think like a millionaire, talk like a millionaire, dress like a millionaire, be a millionaire before you are a millionaire. And you see it a lot with new agents that become overnight successful. They have a whole different attitude. They see themselves successful. They act successful. They dress successful. You cannot be both positive and negative. You're either one or the other. Austin Power in his movies said, "I love everyone but the Dutch," which I take offense to because I'm Dutch. If you don't love something and love everything else, you don't love. It's all or nothing. The mistake is most are choosing the negative. The conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject, ignore any information it receives. When someone shares information that's negative, reject it. Don't entertain it. Don't internalize it. That's simple. If you have a negative thought, just acknowledge it and let it go. Don't fight it, because if you fight it, you start impressing it upon your subconscious mind. The body is an instrument of the mind. It does exactly what the mind tells us to do. Your vibration indicates the ideas. I only have a couple. I see it's the end of the hour. I only have a 2, 3 minutes left here. Your vibration is dictated by the ideas that you impress upon your subconscious mind. Negative ideas that you are going to move into a bad vibration, positive ideas will instantly move you into a positive vibration. You define attitude, which is a composite of your thoughts, your feelings, and actions. So you can be happy, but if you have negative thoughts while being happy or don't take actions, you don't have a good attitude. All three have to be in alignment. It's not just your thoughts, nor just your feelings, but your thoughts and feelings when combined and expressed in your action. The greatest discovery of my generation was that you can alter your life by altering your attitude of mind. Okay. Top performers all have guides. Athletes have trainers, world leaders have advisors, business leaders have consultants, coaches have coaches. Luke Skywalker had Obi-Wan Kenobi. Anyone not satisfied with their status quo finds help. What about you? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Roger. That was great.
Thank you.